Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video, where we'll explore one of life's most valuable skills, learning to let go of what we cannot control. This ancient Stoic principle might just be the key to finding peace in our chaotic modern world. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, worrying about a situation completely beyond your influence? Maybe it's the economy, someone else's opinion of you, or even the weather on the day of your outdoor event. If so, you're not alone. We humans have a peculiar tendency to exhaust ourselves fighting battles we simply cannot win. Today, we'll dive deep into Stoic philosophy, not as an academic exercise, but as a practical toolkit for navigating the complexities of modern life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the ancient Stoics believed that true freedom comes from distinguishing between what we can and cannot control, and you'll learn how to apply this wisdom to your daily challenges. The Dichotomy of Control, a Stoic cornerstone. Let's begin with the fundamental Stoic principle that will guide our discussion, the dichotomy of control. This concept was most famously articulated by Epictetus, a former slave who became one of history's most influential Stoic philosophers. In his work, The Enchiridion, Epictetus writes, "Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." This distinction might seem simple at first glance, but its implications are profound. When we truly understand and apply this principle, it can transform how we respond to everything from minor irritations to major life challenges. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl describes how, even in the most horrific circumstances imaginable, he discovered that while he couldn't control his external situation, he maintained the freedom to choose his response to it. "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing," he wrote, "the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Why we struggle with letting go. Before we explore how to let go, it's worth understanding why it's so difficult in the first place. From an evolutionary perspective, our brains developed to constantly scan for threats and attempt to exert control over our environment. This served us well when threats were primarily physical and immediate, but in today's complex world, this tendency often leads us astray. We worry about global events beyond our influence. We ruminate over others' opinions that we cannot change. We stress about past decisions that cannot be undone. And through it all, we suffer as if our worry could somehow alter these realities. Ryan Holiday, a modern Stoic author, calls this living in opposition to nature. When we rage against reality, against what the Stoics called fate, we create our own misery. Consider these common scenarios that cause us unnecessary suffering. 1. Obsessing over someone else's actions or decisions. 2. Worrying about future outcomes we cannot predict. 3. Ruminating over past mistakes that cannot be changed. 4. Stressing about others' opinions of us. 5. Trying to control natural processes like aging or the weather. In each case, our suffering stems not from the external circumstance itself, but from our resistance to accepting what is beyond our control. Celebrity examples. Stoicism in practice. Let's look at some contemporary examples of public figures who have embraced Stoic principles, especially the art of focusing on what they can control. Tom Brady. The legendary quarterback has repeatedly demonstrated Stoic wisdom through his approach to football and life. While he couldn't control injuries, coaching decisions, or even controversial calls, Brady focused relentlessly on what he could control: his preparation, attitude, and response to setbacks. In interviews, he often emphasizes concentrating on the process rather than outcomes, a distinctly Stoic approach. Oprah Winfrey. Despite facing extraordinary adversity throughout her life, from poverty to discrimination, Oprah exemplifies the Stoic principle of focusing on what's within her control. Rather than dwelling on circumstances beyond her influence, she channeled her energy into developing her talents and character. "You become what you believe," she says, echoing the Stoic emphasis on the power of our judgments. Arnold Schwarzenegger. A vocal proponent of Stoic philosophy, Schwarzenegger has spoken about focusing exclusively on what he could control throughout his careers in bodybuilding, acting, and politics. When faced with critics who said his accent would prevent his success in Hollywood, he concentrated on what he could control: his physique, acting skills, and work ethic, rather than others' opinions. These individuals didn't succeed by trying to control everything around them. They succeeded by mastering themselves and their responses to externals, a core Stoic teaching. Practical applications. The Stoic approach to common challenges. Let's explore how we can apply this Stoic wisdom to common modern challenges. 1. Dealing with criticism and judgment. We often expend enormous energy worrying about others' opinions of us. But as Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, reminds us, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Stoic solution. Recognize that others' opinions are external to you and ultimately beyond your control. What is within your control is how you conduct yourself, your intentions, and your values. Focus on living according to your principles rather than trying to please everyone, an impossible task regardless. Practical exercise. The next time you feel anxious about someone's judgment, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, redirect your mental energy toward what is, your own choices, actions, and responses. 2. Navigating career setbacks. In today's volatile job market, layoffs, project failures, and career transitions are increasingly common. These situations often trigger intense anxiety precisely because so many factors lie beyond our influence. Stoic solution. Distinguish between what aspects of your career you can and cannot control. You cannot control market conditions, management's decisions, or economic downturns. You can control your skill development, networking efforts, adaptability, and response to challenges. Real life. Example, consider J.K. Rowling, who faced multiple rejections before Harry Potter was published. Rather than dwelling on editors' opinions, uncontrollable, she focused on improving her manuscript and persisting in her submissions, controllable. This Stoic approach eventually led to extraordinary success. 3. Managing health challenges. Health issues, whether our own or loved ones, can be particularly difficult to accept because they strike at our deepest fears and highlight our inherent vulnerability. Stoic solution. Epictetus advises, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. With health, focus on what you can control: your lifestyle choices, treatment compliance, mindset, and how you respond to symptoms. Accept with dignity what you cannot change. Practical approach. When facing health challenges, create 2 lists: factors within your control and factors beyond it. Channel your energy. exclusively toward the first list while practicing acceptance of the second. 4. Handling relationship difficulties. Relationships often become battlegrounds of control as we try to change others' behaviors, feelings, or perspectives, all while creating suffering for ourselves. Stoic solution. The Stoics would remind us that we cannot control others' actions, only our own. As Epictetus said, when we try to control what is not up to us, we experience disturbance, sorrow, lamentation, and misfortune. Real-world application. In relationships, focus on controlling your own communication, understanding, patience, and boundaries. Release the expectation that you can or should control your partner's feelings or behaviors. This shift alone can transform relationship dynamics from power struggles to genuine connection. The 4 Stoic virtues as guides. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues that can serve as our compass when navigating life's challenges. 1. Wisdom, practical wisdom. The ability to navigate complex situations with clear judgment, knowing what is within and beyond our control. 2. Courage, the fortitude to accept difficult truths and act rightly even when facing adversity. 3. Justice, treating others fairly and with compassion, regardless of circumstances. 4. Temperance, exercising moderation and self-discipline in all things. When uncertain about how to respond to a situation, we can ask ourselves which response best embodies these virtues. This provides clarity even in our most difficult moments. The paradox of control, finding freedom through acceptance. Here lies one of the beautiful paradoxes of Stoic philosophy. By relinquishing our attempt to control the uncontrollable, we gain true freedom. As Seneca wrote, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. When we stop exhausting ourselves trying to bend reality to our will, we discover several profound benefits. 1. Reduced anxiety. Energy. Previously spent worrying about unchangeable circumstances can be redirected to productive purposes. 2. Greater resilience. By focusing on our responses rather than external events, we develop inner strength. 3. Improved relationships. When we stop trying to control others, we create space for authentic connection. 4. Enhanced performance. Channeling our energy toward what we actually can influence leads to better results. 5. Deeper. Peace. Acceptance of reality as it is, not as we wish it to be, brings profound tranquility during scientific support for ancient wisdom. Interestingly, modern psychology has validated many Stoic insights. The framework of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, developed by psychologist Aaron Beck, draws heavily from Stoic principles, particularly the idea that our suffering stems not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. Research on psychological flexibility, mindfulness, and acceptance-based therapies has consistently shown that accepting what we cannot change, rather than fighting against it, leads to better mental health outcomes, reduced stress, and greater life satisfaction. A landmark study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who focus their energy on controllable aspects of stressful situations show better adjustment, less depression, and higher self-esteem than those who don't make this distinction. Practical exercises for developing Stoic acceptance. Let's explore some practical exercises inspired by both ancient Stoics and contemporary psychologists to help develop the skill of letting go. 1. The circle of control. Exercise: draw 3 concentric circles on a piece of paper. Inner circle: things completely within your control, your thoughts, judgments, intentions, responses. Middle circle, things you can influence but not control, your health, relationships, career. Outer circle, things completely beyond your control, the weather, the economy, others' opinions. When facing a challenge, identify which circle it belongs in and adjust your mental energy accordingly. 2. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. This classical Stoic exercise involves deliberately contemplating potential setbacks or losses. Far from being pessimistic, this practice helps build resilience, reduces anxiety about what might happen, and increases gratitude for what we currently have. Try it. Spend 5 minutes imagining how you would respond if you lost something you value, perhaps your job, a relationship, or your health. How would you apply Stoic principles in that situation? This mental rehearsal builds emotional strength for whatever challenges may come. 3. The view from above. Marcus Aurelius often practiced this meditation, imagining himself looking down at his problems from a great height. This cosmic perspective helps us see our concerns in proper proportion and recognize how many of our worries are ultimately inconsequential. Try it. When something is troubling you, imagine viewing it from progressively greater distances, from across the room, from above your city, from orbit, from the edge of the galaxy. Notice how your perspective shifts. 4th, morning and evening flexion. Seneca and Epictetus both recommended regular reflection practices. Each morning, consider what challenges the day might bring and how you'll respond in accordance with Stoic principles. Each evening, review your day, considering where you successfully distinguished between what you could and couldn't control. Real-life transformations through Stoic practice. Let me share a few stories of how people I know have transformed their lives by embracing this Stoic principle. Michael's story. After losing his job during economic downturn, Michael initially fell into despair, constantly ruminating over the unfairness of his situation. Through studying Stoicism, he realized he was expending precious energy on circumstances beyond his control. Once he shifted focus to what he could control, his skill development, networking, and mindset, he not only found new employment, but ultimately built a more fulfilling career aligned with his values. Sarah's story. When diagnosed with a chronic illness, Sarah initially raged against her condition, creating additional suffering through resistance. By adopting Stoic principles, she learned to accept what she couldn't change, while taking ownership of what she could: her treatment adherence, lifestyle adjustments, and most importantly, her attitude. While her physical condition remained challenging, her quality of life improved dramatically through this shift in perspective. David's story. After his divorce, David spent months obsessing over his ex-spouse's decisions and actions, all things beyond his control. This fixation prevented him from healing and moving forward. Through practicing Stoic acceptance, he gradually released his attempt to control the uncontrollable and redirected that energy toward rebuilding his life, developing new relationships, and growing from the experience. Common misconceptions about Stoic acceptance. Before we conclude, let's address some common misunderstandings about the Stoic approach to acceptance. Misconception number 1. Stoicism means being emotionless or suppressing feelings. Reality. Stoicism doesn't advocate suppressing emotions, but rather responding to them with wisdom. The goal is not to feel nothing, but to respond to our feelings in a balanced way, without being controlled by them. Misconception number 2. Accepting what I can't control means passive resignation. Reality. Stoic acceptance is active, not passive. It means clearly distinguishing what we can and cannot influence, then channeling our full energy toward effective action where it matters. As Epictetus said, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Misconception. Number 3. Focusing only on what I can control is selfish. Reality. The Stoics placed great emphasis on justice and our duty to others. By focusing on what's within our control, our own virtue and actions, we can actually contribute more effectively to the greater good. Conclusion. The path to tranquility. As we conclude our exploration of this profound Stoic teaching, I invite you to consider how it might transform your own life. Imagine the mental energy that would be liberated if you stopped struggling against the unchangeable. Imagine the clarity that would come from focusing exclusively on what you can influence. Imagine the peace that arises when you accept reality as it is, rather than exhausting yourself fighting against it. The Stoics understood something essential about human nature. Our suffering often stems not from external events, but from our judgments about them. By learning to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, and by focusing our energy accordingly, we find a path to tranquility that no external circumstance can disturb. As Marcus Aurelius wisely counseled, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. I hope this exploration of Stoic wisdom has provided you with practical insights you can apply to your own challenges. Remember that developing this skill, like any worthwhile ability, takes practice. Be patient with yourself as you learn to let go of what you cannot change and celebrate your progress along the way. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Stoic wisdom. If you found value in these teachings, please consider sharing this video with someone who might benefit. Until next time, focus on what you can control, accept what you cannot, and find the wisdom to know the difference.